Askreddit asks, what's a uniquely European problem?
Renovating your house only to discover a Roman fort in your basement, which puts the renovation on hold for 2 years. Edit. Holy shit snacks. Reddit.
I live in Ljubljana. It's a fact that every time there's construction in the city center they're gonna find some road, house, graveyard, etc. Many old pwa straight up refuse to renovate because they're built on something that was just covered up in Yugoslavian times.
Sometimes it's cheaper to fly to another EU country than to the city in your country.
I'm flying to Spain next week. The taxi fare from my house to the airport is more expensive than my flight to Barcelona.
Sometimes it is cheaper to fly Munich-Dublin return €10 than pay for the subway from Munich Central Station to the airport €12.
Not getting any cool stamps in the passport when traveling through Europe.
Didn't realize it before now. I like seeing stamps on my passport from Australia and US and other countries, so it would be cool to have the European ones as well.
You can ask for a stamp from customs. You might get looked at funny, but if there isn't too much of a queue they will usually oblige.
The wrong song representing your country in Eurovision. Still bitter.
Try living in a country, UK, that's only in it for the televoting money and basically sends a glorified redcoat every year because we don't want to host it.
Me too. But don't you dare not give points to our boring song.
Where are you from?
Russians on our CSGO servers.
In the American servers we just have drunk people pretending to be Russian. I'm not sure if that's better or worse.
What I find interesting about Russians in online FPS games is that they are either really good or really bad. Like there is no middle ground. I haven't seen a Russian be just okay or decent at a game. Either crazy good or hilariously bad.
It's cheaper to take 2-week holiday to Mallorca than a 10-day nature trip to Center Parks.
People not speaking in online games since they don't speak English as their first language and are insecure about it.
People not using their mic or being very silent until they realize you speak the same language and then they won't shut up for the rest of the match.
On the flip side, I wish French and Italian kids would shut the fuck up in Rainbow Six Siege. Shouting at me to give them stims when I play as Doc like motherfucker I don't speak French.
Not being sure of exactly what country you're in sometimes. When you're driving through some border regions. Taking a detour through Germany or France depending on traffic conditions.
I grew up in a border region. You cycle to Belgium for some decent chips on a Saturday afternoon, and when your TV breaks you drive to Germany for a new one because they're cheaper there.
Having a website in Russian language automatically because some people still think your country is part of Soviet Union.
I relate to that. It's been almost 30 years and barely anyone under 30 speaks Russian well enough, including me, haha.
Having to dig massive catacombs under cities to store all the dead bodies.
Bonewheel skeletons.
I would love to explore them. With my paladin and wizard friends.
Bonewheel skeleton sign, so glad I had a 100% block shield.
Paying for public toilets.
This feels like it would lead to a lot of people pissing on the street.
I don't even mind having to pay. It's the utter lack of them that bothers me. My bladder is the size of a grape and I sometimes have to hold it for hours until I find a paid toilet when I'm abroad.
As an American, this was the worst part of Europe by far.
The Balkans. Source: am from the Balkans.
Which country in the Balkans are you from? What about now? Is it still the same country?
Speaking many languages but only in the formal polite forms instead of the slangs and curses.
Or learning an entirely wrong dialect. Source: went to Oktoberfest in Munich and tried to be a good tourist and learn some German before going. Apparently Rosetta Stone teaches something closer to a Berlin dialect and the Bavarians were not impressed. I'm sure my accent wasn't helping.
This is me with Spanish. I'm fully fluent and have a native accent, but I lack much of the slang used at it. I speak Cuban Spanish natively and know most Cuban slang. But outside of that I am lost on the slang in other dialects.
Small roads. Dunno if this is just England, but my street can only fit one car and a skinny person and the main road. Outside it, can barely squeeze a bus and a big van. Italy is supposed to be the worst for small roads. There's a reason they make small cars.
Mostly all of the old European cities. When these towns were made, cars were not a thought. Usually they had bigger problems like the Black Death.
Despite all the data mining, Google will still suggest me website in German eventer it knows that I only speak French. Edit. Yes, I also speak English, but on local websites there is either French or German, so the website will automatically set the German option despite my location being in the French-speaking part of my country.
Fucking Switzerland.
This content is not available in your region.
You need a VPN.
That's not a uniquely European problem. I'm Canadian and that happens to me every day.
Driving 4 hours to see the Eiffel Tower.
PFFT. We drove 10 hours from the UK for the weekend and got tear-gassed.
URL redacted, r, Tifu, comments, B24W78, is what they are referring to.
Twice.
American recipes that require a packet or a can of ready-made Old Jay's secret mix, having to translate American recipes to real units, missing an exit and accidentally driving through Belgium, being at a social function where people randomly switch between 4 different languages, being redirected to the regional website even though you don't speak the local language, not being able to get to work because they're 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 being able to get to work because they but not cold enough to make winter sports possible. EDIT. We get it. Germany drove through Belgium twice. You're super clever and no one made that joke before.
The vodka got expensive again. You can tell how far east you've traveled by the price of vodka.
Is it cheaper or more expensive in the East?
Alcohol in general is cheapest in Central, Eastern Europe.
Hopping over to your friend in the next country over only to find out they have the wrong configuration of 2/3 pins, only to have to quickly drive back over the border to pick up your adapter so you can charge your phone.
I've always wondered about this. Why do different countries have differently shaped outlets?
Debating with your family in which of the neighboring countries you should do the groceries today.
As a Brit, could you explain, as a lot of these replies I can't relate to? Including this. Yeah, I guess life on a European island is quite different from life on the mainland. I lived in Germany, with the Dutch and Belgian border about 15 minutes away. Germany is the cheapest when it comes to groceries. But we love the Dutch supermarkets. And then there are products we like you can only get in Belgium. Decisions.
Aachen region, best part of Germany.
Ryanair, might as well pay extra for breathing in the plane.
Ryanair is just a social experiment to see how much humiliation people are willing to put up with for cheap flight tickets.
The US doesn't have Ryanair, but we do have our version of it in Spirit Airlines.
Different Netflix content when you change country.
My home Netflix is Italian and my work is US. So I'll start watching a show at work and not be able to finish the episode season at home.
Netflix content in general. The Netherlands has a very poor selection of films compared to the USA.
What kind of dream job do you work where you have time to watch Netflix during work hours?
Cigarette butts everywhere. Ever go to Barcelona? The place is basically one big ashtray. Yeah, Europeans smoke so much. You don't hear about this on Reddit for some reason, but every time I've visited Europe, Italy, Austria, France, Germany, Belgium, etc., I am blown away by how many smokers there are. Cigarettes in America are more taboo nowadays.
Cigarette vending machines blew my mind on Germany.
The UK.
As a Brit, other Brits thinking the UK isn't part of Europe, or won't be part of Europe after Brexit. We won't be part of the EU, but no amount of voting is going to change basic geography.
We got rid of Pluto that way. I am sure we can get the UK declared as weird outgrowth of North America.
Having to pay £5 for the hospital car park but your treatment is free. Such a first world problem.
and then complaining when it goes up 10p an hour. ETA. I attend hospitals in 3 different health trusts and the parking prices vary between each of them. There's only about 25 to 30 miles between them, but prices vary by 50p an hour.
Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe to support the channel, and above all, have an excellent day, you incredible people.